today I thought I'd do a little review about what I think about the Towable Backhoe. Kind of like an overview, kind of going over it, personal thoughts about it, things I wanted to point out. I get a lot of my views from my YouTube account from this machine, so I figured I'd owe it to kind of go over it, talk about it a little bit. If anyone is actually interested in this machine, I believe you can order this free catalog from DR Power. This is the brochure that belongs with the machine. Through the pages they show you various things, like it's talking about their machine and capabilities, unique items about it, things you can do with it, basics of the hydraulics, which does include a spin-on oil filter, which I like that. The basic stats of the machine. We own the 6 horsepower. They probably shape too much for anyone to be able to read this. The different attachments come with the machine. The 3-tooth bucket comes with the machine. These are accessories. We own all of them, so 4 attachments total. I have the ripper on there right now, which is a pretty serious chunk of iron. We did not opt for the 2-handle function of the 4-handle on the machine. It's a little trickier getting used to, but it's not really that big a deal. Save yourself a couple $100 and just deal with that one, and it's not really that bad. We actually got one of the trade-in leftovers. They call it a refurbished. Knocks down the price. Already had the road tow kit on it, as you can see here. This has a 4 flat wire. Connect to your pickup. And it's just got the really basic trailer lights, but makes you more road legal, and it also adds the fenders, which is kind of nice, so it doesn't coat your machine with crud if you're hitting mud puddles or whatever. They just run the wire right along the base of the frame all the way up. It's pretty simple, but it's nice to have. They do make a cover, just a basic tarp is all we use. I got a camouflage one right over there. It works perfect. They do have replacement teeth you can buy. I've never needed to. The buckets are extremely well built. The teeth are just bolt-on, so there's no torches or whatever required unless you need to cut the bolts off. The ripper held on by a big ass roll pin, but I don't expect that to come out anytime soon. This one's a 9-inch. It's a trench bucket. It's 2-tooth. I don't have that here at the time. I would show you, but I do have them all. This one, 4-tooth, is a 16-inch bucket. Pretty damn heavy to pick up, especially to change it out to put it on the machine. If you're digging in sand, or as this picture shows, a rock, I mean, it comes in handy. Most projects, you'd probably just go with the regular 3-tooth that it comes with. It's really not necessary. I've never used the trench bucket. I've never really needed to. If you want just a narrow pipe hole, that would be perfect. Maybe for like a drainage pipe. Change out the attachments. 7/16 bolt and nut. You just disconnect this bolt, slide the pin out, from there and there. And it's a nice greasy mess. You get dirty, pretty dirty. Then you slide your pins back through in the new bucket. I did notice on the ripper tooth the welds are fairly beefy right here, and it hits the bolt. It's not that big a deal, it just makes it a little more difficult putting the bolt back through. Progressing further down the machine, this machine has plenty of grease points, which is what you want on a piece of equipment. Granted, this isn't a huge piece of equipment, but you want it to last. Points here, here, you got one in that swivel there, you got one in the back for this joint here. Each end of the cylinder rods, grease points. Here, up there. You got more down here. You got one hidden on the back here for the main boom. There's a grease point right here for the swing cylinder. There's only one on the right side of the machine, depending on which side you're on. The hydraulic oil filter is located right there. It's accessible through the top pan. You remove your floor plate here. You can get through it through the floor. Right here we have 2 pins for stowing position. You can lock it, so you can lock the boom all the way up, and you can also lock the swing left to right in case you were towing this long distance and you didn't want the hydraulics to droop on you and eventually touch the bucket to the ground or whatever. You can lock it in. It's kind of a nice feature, and it's also a safety feature in case you have kids or whatever playing with the knobs, that someone doesn't get pinned underneath the machine. Hydraulic lines are fairly simply routed. You just have simple brackets. This was a chafing point on the hoses. They are protected, but just to protect the protection, we add this little spacer in right here, so when you curl the crowd all the way in, it doesn't want to rub quite so much on the frame itself. Right now I have the outriggers down just to show the machine in its ready to work position. Something I don't really like about the machine, I'll just say the both pros and cons I personally think about the machine. The rims, they're not lug bolts, so they're just held on by the wheel bearing. So in a case of, since it is a road towable machine, if you had a flat, that would become a big pain in the ass if you couldn't just carry a spare with you. Unless you had the whole rim and tire combination, you would have to take off the cap, the cotter pin, castle nut, the bearing, and replace the whole, the new rim, or go to a tire shop and have them replace the tire for you. So not such an easy repair in the case of a flat tire on the side of the road. There are 3 holes of adjustment, and the outriggers are down. You can't see them, but there's 1, 2, and I have it in the 3rd position. This hole here is to lock it in the stowed position for travel. Just has a simple pin with a spring pin on the side. And this side's a little less sunny. Alright, so I also have this outrigger in its 3rd position. If you set it at its lowest point, it goes, which the machine would be propped up at its highest to the ground. It allows your outriggers to dig in deeper without having the wheels start to touch and start to drag the anchored, whatever's anchoring it. It'll stop that from dragging quite so easy. So I like these down more. Yes, it tips the machine slightly more, but it also stops the tires from touching the ground, defeating the purpose of the outriggers altogether. Also, when it's in its 3rd position, its lowest point, the tire actually acts as a brace, assuming that they're pumped up to their full 60 pounds. And if they're underinflated, it won't work so well. but it actually acts kind of like a brace up against the arms. So if you're really hauling on this thing, trying to rip a stump out or whatever, it actually kind of triangulates the inner beam here, so you're not quite so beaten on the machine quite as much. If you go in its higher settings, just because the tire has some give and the machine has some flex, it is well built and it is very rugged, but the metal will flex some. The fender will scratch the metal right here, if you have the road kit, of course. And just folding it up and down causes it to scratch here as well. Moving on, here's the floor plate. 4 bolts. Pull the plate off, easy access. If you had a busted hydraulic line or whatever, everything's fairly easy to get to, which is very nice. Here's your hydraulic pump. Both engine models come with the same exact pump, so neither one of them has an advantage. They both have the same output, 6 horse versus the 9 horse. The 9 you can just idle down a little bit more. It's connected by a Lovejoy, which is fairly basic. We added a tachometer hour meter on this, just to track the hours of use. Those are the hours on it since we obviously put it on there, but not the machine's total. I'd imagine it's probably double that, because we had it for a short amount of time before we put this on it, plus it had a previous owner, so I imagine there's around 50 hours on this machine. I'm not sure if the seat is adjustable. I don't believe it is. I could be wrong. The height it's set at is fairly comfortable. Feet here, hands here, and your ass there. The seat is comfortable. It is squishy, just like a regular lawnmower seat. It's got a fair amount of cushion to it, so any bounces or bangs or whatever, your back won't feel it so much. It is black, obviously, and it's extremely hot right now in the sun. Alright, moving on. It is American made, but it's powered by a Japanese engine. It's got a Robin Subaru. Like I said, this one's a 6 horse, 170 model. It comes available in a 9. Really not necessary to get the 9. Costs a little bit more money. They have the same power output on the pump. This one you probably just have to give a little more throttle for the same results, but overall output, the machine's capabilities is identical. Here we have the hydraulic fill cap. The frame is the reservoir. This is the fill. I had added some extra oil in what came with it. It's ISO 32 hydraulic oil, I do believe. Because when you tip the machine on its higher settings, sometimes the pump starves for oil. So I just put like maybe a gallon, maybe 2 tops more into it, and it cleaned that up. The back here doesn't come with this. We added this. Just a basic little box. This one's made of metal. It's kind of nice. It was around the same size as the frame. Has a little latch. I just used a bungee cord here. Straps it down, bolt it on in the back, and just straps around the frame. Holds the 7/16 ratchet wrench and box end wrench, a rag, and whatever else you want to put in it. It's kind of nice to have it on board. Right here are the side stabilizers if you wanted to take it off the vehicle. I rarely ever do. These are made so you can skate along, start on an end point, and push yourself backwards. If you visit the DR site, I think they have this on display on one of the videos. Personally, I don't really care for it that much. I'd rather leave it hooked or something At the very least, it helps you anchor it somewhat. Bigger the better, obviously, on the point where you're hooked to. This tractor here is kind of small, but it's good enough for me to tow it around the yard without driving my truck across it. Got a 2-inch ball hookup. Safety chains. It's just a regular latch. These side stabilizers here are similar to the pins are on the front. You just pull the pin out, the spring pin on the bottom. Slide that straight out. You can slide it off, or you can just swing it right around. And I'll do that for you. Pin out. Pin out. Swing it right around. And obviously you want to do the other side. I had this hooked to my Dakota, and I was pulling a very big stump, and it was giving my Dakota a pretty good beating on the other end. So actually I put that down on one side, and it stopped it from binding the shocks so much on a hit. You would like pulling on something heavy, the machine would tip up, and then the weight would release. It wouldn't bounce the truck quite so much because that would touch. But I don't really use them very often. I don't really see the need. If I leave it hooked to the vehicle, if it's towing it, it's just as easy to move it around, have it skate itself around. That way you're already hooked up and ready to move when you're done. Subaru engine here is fairly reliable. Had some problems with bad gas, but that's like most small engines these days. Overall, it's of good quality. Here's the other bucket. This is the one it comes with stock. These buckets are, I'd say, overbuilt for the machine. Bolts on the bottom, top. They're grade 5 bolts. As you can see, the spacing in the hole is a little greater than the spacing on the ripper, so the edges of the bolt don't hit quite so much when you're rebolting this. It's not a big deal, just something I noticed. I'd say it weighs between, I don't know, somewhere around 40 pounds, this bucket. The ripper is similar in weight. This is thick steel, maybe slightly less than the actual bucket. You get different range of motion with the ripper. Seems like it points more straight out, as opposed to the bucket has this curve to it still. Kind of nice for stumps or breaking up real solid ground. Really useful. I highly recommend it. If you get any of the attachments, obviously this one comes with it. I would highly recommend the ripper. And that's pretty much it for now. That's all I can really think of. I'd be happy to answer any comments or questions or whatever. I try to get back to most people in my videos. I like people do that for me, so I try to return the favor. So thanks for watching. Like I said, if anybody wants to make a comment, ask a question, whatever, if they were considering actually purchasing one of these, I'd be happy to have put my input in it. It's a great machine. I love it. I love making videos with it. I mean, it's not a huge performer. You're not going to replace a full-size backhoe or excavator with this thing, but it's a hell of a homeowner unit, that's for sure. It's even probably up to the where it would be a rental quality machine due to its heavy-duty construction, the fact that it's made to be maintained through all the grease points. There's only one thing I could change. It would be the different style hubs with bolt-on rims. And that'd be probably about it. One of the stumps near my garden here that I had dug up the other day before I parked it, and I just moved it to where it is now, just for this video. Makes a big mess like any piece of equipment on the ground, so it's not just rip the stump out, it's a done deal. You're still gonna need an axe, rake. You got roots that you hit torn off, half torn off, still on the ground here. But I enjoy it. I don't mind it. This one was a really decent maple stump. It's pretty dried up now. That was one of those ones with multiple growths out of the one stump. So like I said, I like comments, questions, constructive criticism, complaints. Everybody's got them. Everybody's entitled to opinions, so let me hear them. I like to get all the comments back on my videos. It needs to kind of feel out for what people want to see. I enjoy making the videos. I don't dedicate a lot of time to it. I have a job, so I only dedicate so much time to YouTube itself. But I enjoy making the videos, and I also enjoy sharing what I think and things I might make and stupid crap like that. So anyway, till next time.